because I stopped doing the support of the in-memory is failing. So in-memory is not working. So don't use in-memory, otherwise you are not getting okay there. But whenever you do the run here, so let me do the following. I'm going to delete that, okay? If you imagine you have nothing there, okay? I deleted everything here. You don't see anymore. So now, if I'm going to my application and I go to debug now, okay? You can click in the debug, or if you are on Mac, it's Command-Shift-D, and it's going to automatic start your application in debug mode. And that's all that you needed here. Okay, here it's missing and it's asking for some profile configuration, and this is a pure Spring Boot definition. And here it's using the default one, but I'm using local one, and I would like to make things easier for me as a developer to use the default profile. So what do I do? And if you go here, you see now I have this application one, and I can go into the edit, and I want to say which profile I want to run my application. And this is a profile that you can have dev, stage, prod, and you can have different configurations. As we had before, I want to run in the in-memory database, I want to run is in the Postgres database, or I want to log in, not log in. So for anyone that wants to work in this project, you can use, the local one. And now I change this active profile to local, and you can run the application with the local profile. Okay, now if you see here in the top, first thing you need to do when you are working with Spring, it's make sure you are using the correct profile. If you don't specify any profile, it's always going to be the default one. And the default one is going back to the Spring Boot logic. You go in here in the resources, the default is always either application YAML or application.properties. Okay. In our case, in the platform project, we set up as using YAML because it's easier to read and more formatted. And for every profile we have it here, so we have an application-docker. This is the profile is going to active. The one for in-memory, you see here, on profile in memory. And those are the configurations that we are using for that. If I'm using the local one, and as you can see, I set up what would be my email, my password, or whatever. And I want to enable email. I want to disable email. So, of course, those are, if you see here, this is local one. And just to be sure to explain here, this is not my official password. Never do that. Don't share that. This is a two-phase authentication. Okay. So even you see here, if you try, it won't work for you. Okay. Don't try that. But never put there your password. And if you see here also, local one is not push to GitHub. It's not public. This is my private one. You see here the prod. I won't show you because that one is a good one, even though it has also two-phase authentication. Sorry. But the one that we have here, and I have, for example, this one. This is the default one, and this is the password of my Postgres. But this is for the local one. It's not for the production and so on. And those are configurations that will depend on your profile. Go ahead, Sonali. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I just wanted to call out that you actually just need to have the application local YAML in your machine to work and
you have to create.
debug it correctly. And just to tell you how it gets interconnected. So most of the properties are from the higher level. That is your application.yaml. That is the default. Okay. But whatever you will override in your application -local.yaml file, that will be overridden. And if you are getting an error when you are creating it, your local file, and because what I would do, I would just copy paste the application.yaml, create a
This
new
one.
application.local file, and just copy paste as an example. Okay. You don't have to do that. There is just one configuration that is not working. Like you need to set that up. That is management health false. And then if you set that up, you should be able to know if you go down. Yeah, so management endpoint health. After that, I can ping you. So that is the specific configuration. If you set to false, you will be able to run your application locally and you will be able to debug it.
So where I need to put false again instead of always I need to put false? I didn't.
Yeah.
Here, okay, enabled management health mail enabled. Oh, can
So
I?
there are many, like I think usually if you see here, security enable false. There is management health mail enable false. We could put all that false from the YAML, but we want the application to not start if you don't have it configured all the dependencies, right? But when you are running locally, you can say, I don't want email, or I can just say email false. You can disable the email health check in this case, like to check if you have connection to your server email. And the security false is mean I just want to run locally. I don't want to be authenticated locally just to make things easier. And one good tip for you, Val, if you just do, try to create this local one and push the local one as it is simple. Like the only thing, as I think what Sonali mentioned, is that you can do that. This is the minimum. And if you do that, basically I can copy into the channel where you disable everything and you just started the application. So let's just give a try now. And I'm changing here and just confirm that I got it. The profile here is local. And if you want to see in the end, check that you have the local one and that is working and is going to start. And if you want to make sure that you have that in the debug, right? I didn't hear the debug. What you can then do, it's like, how do you debug and where, like first thing, like you can go into the controller, for example, this one for, let's say, landing page that we were talking about before. Maybe this is one. Yeah, okay, I can take this footer one. I can just put a breakpoint because our is a RESTful API, right? So our entry points are the controller API. So if you want to debug something, either you can put in one of the controllers, or in this case, for example, Lulu, if you want to check the landing page they are returning, or actually the mentor, I think, you can even put that into the, oh, sorry. Let me go here. It's a social network, okay? And you can go under the social network type, sorry. And you want to, for example, to debug and see if it's getting here and if this is working, okay? You can put a debug here, and which is interesting. Let me just start because I would expect this to be checked, like the application is running and debugging. And now if you go under the Postman, Postman, or if you go from the Open API here, you can look for a mentor, or let's say, let me go to the mentors, right? The get. I'm going to try and execute the search. And fun is not getting to the debug point. Okay, this is the demo effect, right? What is happening here?
Is it because custom serialize or deserialize already?
No, I think let me try the other way here. I put it debugger under the, what was the controller, right? The default controller. Okay, you see here, this, like IntelliJ already give us an indication that this code is debuggable. Let's say I just see that. So for example, if I'm going to the footer, it's going to work. It says my code is up to date. So let me see here. If I'm going to the footer, and if I try to debug, I think that's going to work. Yes, so you can see that. And in this case, yeah, I can just do that. And what I'm going to do is, for example, it seems like my code is not fully updated, and those could be tricky when you start in Spring Boot. Those are some challenges in the AI that you can have in the IDE from time to time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a Gradle build. It's basically, I'm just make sure that my code is changed and is updated. So whenever I'm going to run now, I should have the latest change and I can debug. Those are usually issues that you can face whenever you are doing a debug, that you are debugging the code, but it seems like the code is not exactly what you thought so. So for example, now I have this error in the test integration that says, is that the problem? No, it's just a PMD error. So I can just see, okay, what's going on there? And say Menti registration has the builder that could be final. Okay, sorry, this is a different topic, but let me try to fix because I can just show you how it is. So in here, there is this exception, say these builder attributes should be fine. These are checkbox just to say like a following best practice. And in this case, it's the line 36. So I'm going here in the line 36, and it's just saying here, this value should be final. Final var. Good question for you, or tricky question. Do you know what that means to be final? Who knows about that? What if I put a variable to be final? What does that mean?
You cannot change it.
Yes, correct. It's final. It means like you cannot, but let me. You cannot reinitialize. You can change what's inside. So I cannot do, like, for example, if I'm trying to do that in this code, builder equal new builder, application builder, like this, the compile won't accept. You see, that's what it means. We can change what is inside as attributes, but you cannot recreate a new attribute in memory. This is it's how Java handles things that are immutable, right? This final is flagging you that I cannot recreate that, and that's good that you are flagging to the compiler in the way that I shouldn't be changing that. Okay, that's and you can have this final in a variable, you can have into a parameter, you can have in a class. So you can have this in many places. This is the operator, and every place. And this is a very good question that I mean, I recently joined a company where they asked me that if I know how or what does this final means. And every place they could be a little bit different, right? So you can have a final in here, which is the variable. But if I'm putting here in the parameter, what could you guess? What does that mean?
Maybe that you can't change this parameter within this method that you passed it in.
Yes. Basically, if I take that out, I can just say Menti here can become 2. Because I'm saying I can change that, but that's not a good practice. It's basically you are changing whoever is calling you. So in this case, I'm saying long can change. Of course, long is the thing. And if I'm flagging that this is final, I can change. You should not change. And the compiler, the Java, will make sure that you can do that. For the ones that are more in Python or in JavaScript, it feels like you can do everything as you like. But for the ones that are more in Java or like some contracts definition, that's one of the things I like the most on Java, that you specify contracts and everybody can follow and should follow that. You can break. Because the compiler won't break. It will break and let you know that you are doing something wrong. And okay, the other one now, it's becoming here, a record is not a good example. Let me go in here. You can have a final here. What does that mean? Anyone could guess?
It's about accessibility. Public, you can access from everywhere.
No,
No?
this is public, private, and final. This is visibility of the class.
Mhm.
And in this case, let me show you what that exactly means. I have a member here, right? Now I'm going to put final here. Okay, and basically, if I'm going to the mentor again, see, I'm saying this class is final. Is the final one. No one can come after that, which means this is inheritance. I'm saying I am a mother, I have a child, and my child cannot have children. Basically that, right? So if I am this class, I'm saying no one can extend me. I'm final. It's like no one can take that. And in this case, now I'm checking because thinking about inheritance, right? So you have inheritance is like I have a member, which is the parent. Then I have a mentor. What I'm saying here, a mentor is a type of a member in my module, in my platform, right? In our platform, we designed it. You could have a user. A user could be, and you can think about that. A user can be a mentor. A user can be a mentee. A user can be a volunteer, right? Or you can have a car and you can go from the car. I have a car that could be okay, car, not my specialty, so I will try something else. But I think here I get
Vehicle. You can use a vehicle, and then from vehicles you can actually be a car or a truck. So parent class is your vehicle, and your child class would be a car or a truck or a tractor, as an example.
yeah. So the thing is, of course, I went into a very different direction here, but I think this final is so basic in Java. It's so foundation, which even for advanced people that knows Java, they still struggle with understanding where, because not all of that you needed to know from the beginning, right? And this is more about defining contract, what to do for what. So in this case, of course, now coming back to your where we are talking about, okay, which of course I completely lost what I was talking about. Okay, debug. Um, so in here in the debug, and the most problem we have are related to the code not to be up to date, and because we are talking about Spring Boot application, basically we needed to rerun the project, and then you will see hopefully that you have your code available or ready to be debugged. But not all the time, like if you think about Spring Boot, you don't need to run the whole application to debug the code, only if you want to debug end to end, okay? But for example, if I'm changing serialization, like as you have it here, year serialize. I want to debug this code. I don't need to run the whole application to debug that. What I would recommend where you can just say, okay, I have a class, I created my test, and I want to debug that, right? So I put at my breakpoint here, and you can just come here and run a debug. And you run all the code, and you can just debug the part that you are interested, because that's simple for you. You are just starting. You don't need to start the full application to be able to debug the code. So that is the good part in here. And how to debug that? Okay, I started the test, I put the breakpoint here, and now it's how to debug the code. Debug can be very scary, but if you start using more and more often, the day one when you start learning code, you learn way faster because you understand what's happening, right? So in here, for example, if I'm just talking about strings, or if I want to understand what does a string work, right? So I'm just saying, hey, a value has a name attribute, or a value, what is this value actually? In this case, is a name, original, and has a hash. So you can start play around. So name, if I try to access a name, okay, now I can say I want, what are the options when I'm using Java for a string? What can I do with a string, right? And that is kind of become fun because you can just say, hey, I want to make the name actually lowercase. Oh, magic, I did it. And okay, but why I have a method here say that I can localize that just by doing 2 lowercase. And why would I put the locale here if I don't need it, right? Java support both way, but imagine if you want to make an application for English, for Japanese, for Chinese. So you needed to specify how do we lowercase so they understand the encode, how to encode and decode the string value. That's why it's important. And application complaints. So in this case, if I'm debugging that, you can play around and see how can you do that. Val, would you be more interested into the debug of the Java, or you are debugging or asking about how to debug the Spring Boot itself? So I can know more what should I, or what would be the what you are missing and how to debug the thing.
Spring Boot, please.
Yeah, so in this case, the first start is definitely the application. You can just go, as I mentioned here, into look around in these options. So you have here the application, and then you go and then you debug. So let's see now if I starting my application and going back to the serialize and going here. Bye, Lulu. Please ask questions if you have it, and so we talk later. Thank you for joining. So in here now, I still looks like we don't have that. For some reason, this class it doesn't understand. So let me see where is getting that, because it's getting the this. Yeah, okay. Let me see if I can get that. So let me go under the mentor, for example. Again, let me see from here. Okay, yeah, the mentor is not getting into the serialization or from this class, but let me see if I get the, oh my God, what happened? Okay. Repository. Let me get one of the database repositories so I can give you another example. So I am here in the member, and let's say I want to debug how the find by ID or how the get all works, right? So I'm going to put a breakpoint here. And in this example, basically, I know an API here that goes there, which is for members. And we have members here, and we have a get for members. And when I try the code, I'm going to execute here, and then here is where you can follow the code. And this part is getting to the Postgres, where we execute the query. And if you go there and, for example, clean up, check the logs in here. So what I'm going to do here is going to check, okay, what is this query? So select all members. And let's see if I just execute myself. This, you can go into the threads and variables, and you can go here in the expression, or you can right click here There is evaluate expression. This is a very good thing you can explore. And when you execute, then you see what's happening. So you see here that when I execute this query, it returns all of that. You can expand and see all the data there as well. And also what is usually very helpful, because sometimes you have problems, then you're having exceptions, always check the log. The log is your friend, and the logs is going to show everything that happens in the order that happens. So just this query I execute, it printing out here. And because I'm running on the debug mode, you can see all the exceptions here as well. And in this case, you see, okay, that is the query that was running. Sometimes when we are working in the database, there are some, you don't know why it's not returning what you were expecting. So for example, I don't know what's happening here, why this query is not happening. So what do? I can copy the query, for example, I can go to my database and I can, for example, go in here, database, WCC schema, and put the Excel SQL script. No, I just wanted to show here. Okay, where do I run the comment now? I got lost. It's in the, okay, here, I guess, the DDL. Oh no. Sorry. Edit data, no, go to DDL. Okay, credit console, yeah, sorry, that's, so you can copy these and you can, for example, even check the code. Like in this case, I remove the ID, right? Or you can put ID 1 and then you can execute the query. So in this case, or I want to see all of them, I can also check for this query. Where is it? Okay, sorry, there is a typo here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can just play around with your query and return all of that if you want. But that's what you're seeing. Oh, the social network for all the members here, and you can take that off your debug. And the good part with the debugs that, okay, you see what you have it running, you can check the logs and you can explore in the thread and variables to see what is there. For example, what is this mapper? What does it have in memory? But as beginner, don't need to be worried and to know all of that. The most important part for you is to know how to start the debug and how to create a new debug. Or for example, what I wanted to do, like I close all the tabs and my application is running in the debug mode. Now what do? You can look, okay, I need to understand how the database is working. So you say, I am debugging, or I'm working a feature for the members, or I just want to see how the controller is working. So I can just go here into the controller, I put a breakpoint, and then I start to navigate there. And for example, here, let me put a breakpoint on this logic. And whenever I go to the footer, okay, I needed to finish my breakpoint because it's still blocked, okay? And here you can just put the mouse over to know what are the options you are going to do. Thank you, Sonali. And you can just look around of the breakpoints as well. So for example, now I'm going to try the footer again. And you can just start it here. And what would be nice is like, okay, I don't know what's happening here. You can go inside, you can add on the fly. And here is, you resume the program, so you go to the next step. And if I want just go to the next line, you can just step over. So now you see, okay, my footer, check into the database. That was the query on the database that was run. Select ID and data from the ID page. And what was the ID page? You can just inspect here and see, okay, what was the ID that I was trying to go? You execute, oh, the ID is page ID footer. And okay, the page now it's empty, which means I don't have into the database. And I'm checking, okay, what's going to happen? If it's present, I'm going to return that. If it's not present, then you can execute the logic. I don't have it, so I'm going to return a fallback here. And the fallback is just to return a JSON wrapper as well. That's how we started the platform, adding a lot of fallbacks and just creating static data. And this is more or less how would you debug, and depending feature for feature, what you actually needed to debug. Does that answer your question? Does that give you some help there?
Yes, thank you very much, Adriana. I already halfway fixed my setup. I think one of the problem was that I didn't have this application local file. So it is already working a little bit, but I still can't access the local host Swagger for some reason. So I will need to look into that. But yeah, thank you. That was very helpful.
If you don't mind, or if you have there, okay, let me stop for a minute. Does anyone else has another question, or how are you doing, or would ask anything else? Olena, maybe you or all the others. It's already 9:30. I know it can become a bit late. I don't want to keep you all here. You have all things, but I can stay a little bit longer if you need, or if you have some questions.
From my side, I don't have questions. I updated you where I'm currently now and what is my steps. But for next time, I'm sure that I will bring questions first and second, and we will discuss.
Awesome.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, it was very interesting.
And again, I mean, we are not preparing this. It's not like a session to teach you coming with the whole material. It's more like helping you in where or which level you are. So you can put the questions into the chat. You can come here to come with the questions, or you can just follow the course from the JetBrain Academy, just to get the content. And if you are stuck there, if you have some questions there, you can also come and raise, so we can also help there. Okay, so Val, if you want, I can we can just I can share with you the details and so you can debug that, or if anyone else has anything. Otherwise, we can. I hope you can learn. You had learned something today, and you also had fun. I had, and I hope you. I will be here, and we all are here, like me, Sonali, Zaynah, to help you in the journey. And we are also always learning, and in this journey as developers, we never stop. So if you are just coming here to not run and to not start, then you are in the wrong track. So because we never stop learning, and we never stop having to learn something new. So after 15 years, I know that I have so much to learn, so much to do. So it's fun. You never get boring.
Today we discuss serialization, deserialization. What does it mean final with classes, with objects? If you come back to the final for classes, so class can have lots of objects.
Yes.
If we say final class, what does it mean? Like,
so in that case, that doesn't apply direct to the serialization. Sorry, to the final. The final doesn't fit to that concept. Okay, the final is just pure Java saying to you either you can recreate or not. Okay, that is a different foundation in the Java.
Yeah.
Yes. The serialization is how are you going to transport the data you have. So, and let's thinking about foundation of Java, right? So you have an object, and if you go into the foundation, you have a primitive type, which is an int. or a byte,
Mhm.
right? Then you go to an int, which is still primitive.
Mhm.
And you can have an integer. An integer is an object. And as an oriented object programming, and then where we are going there, Java is an oriented object programming. Everything can be an object. A class is a definition of many objects that you can have. A class can be anything. I remember from the university, this is an object from my teacher. This is an object. And that's true. Anything can be an object. So the class is kind of a way to say you combine objects there. So what could be a class for us in the mentorship into the platform is a member, right? A member is a class. And what are the attributes that a member has? You define that into the class. If a class has attributes, then you can put that, and then you can become in the oriented object programming. But you, like for starting, you don't need to understand the full concept of oriented object. What you needed to start is going to the primitive objects. You understand the int, the long, then you, after you understand the strings and you understand how to work the strings, what can I do? Then you can starting going there. So I think I get it. What is a string? I understand how can I do with a math operation, min, max, plus. So how do I combine, how I can create a method to get the age from Adriana, right? She's from the year 1988, and we are in 2027. How old is Adriana? Then you create your method that, and you starting play around with that. And if I don't want to know her age, I want to know her how tall she is. Okay, which type of attribute to use there? Is it that an integer, or is a float, or is a double? And that's part of the foundation you needed to start thinking, is that which type of attributes are used for what? And then it's you going. The more like as you're getting the learn, you're going deeper and deeper and deeper. But then you can expand. If you try to go to take all, it can be hard, and then you can just get confused there. But that's why I would just try to go slow. But I think from all of you, you all can have different paths. It doesn't mean like what works for me is going to work for you. So that's the beauty of diversity. We can all learn in different ways. So that is a good start for me. I would say, like, of course, serialization feels like when I heard serialization in the beginning of my journey, I just said, "Oh my God, what the hell is that?" And in the end, it's you don't need to know how to serialize. And my teacher in the university, he made me do that, like to do a serialization, which is just basically convert this into a file and just say, I'm putting the name, I'm putting the age, I'm putting how do you want to put, right? So you can define a contract for that, or you can use a CSV, for example. If you return an object as a CSV, is a serialization that you're saying, I'm generating out of this Java binary, I'm going to return instead of a JSON, I'm going to return as a CSV. Is a way of serializing the data, and you're going to return to something else that. So that's also could be another way of thinking of serialization. Okay, so
Thank you
I
so
guess
much.
many questions will come. I hope they come. If they are not coming, it's because you are not learning, and I want you to get learning, and you learn. So just come and bring more questions, and please ask in the public channel, because maybe I won't be available, but someone else is going to be available. So you can have more help there. Okay. So then I'm going to wrap that today, and I hope to see you next week or offline. So I know sometimes it's not easier to come because of the time, everybody is busy, but you can have the channel and you can join a sync and you can raise your questions. And if you stop coming, if you stop having questions, then maybe we stop, because then we are here for you, and take advantage of that time. Okay. Oh, you're muted, but yeah, I think good. So bye,
Thank you
ladies.
so much.
and
Bye.
bye.
See you next time.
Yes, thank you. See you next week.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.